And here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Motherful Chat with Janine Bolon tonight. We are doing Money Matters with single mothers, for single mothers. And just to let you know, Janine Bolon is, I'm just going to give you her bio. She's a testament to the power of perseverance. As an impoverished teenager in rural Missouri, she launched several successful businesses before putting herself through the University of Missouri biochemistry program by working 3 jobs at once and selling all her possessions. Been there, done that. She worked for 15 years in academic and industrial research laboratories before spending the next 25 years raising a brood of 4 active spawn. In the past 2 decades, Janine has completed her MA in education, homeschools the herd, founded her financial literacy firm, has written 8 books and teaches 9 books, actually, and is working on her 10th, she just told us, and teaches 15 online programs. Janine has a new book that just came out. This must be old, this bio. The Thriving Solopreneur, your critical 4 hours a week that attract clients and build income. And I'm super, super grateful for Janine coming on, and we're recording this session so you know, to share with our whole community, and hopefully more moms will join us tonight, but if not, they can get the replay, and Melissa and Martina and myself get to experience this amazing resource and joy that Janine brings. And so to start off the call, we wanted to do just a little check-in like we usually do, and we have a prompt. So just share your name and how you're showing up today, like how things are going. And then the other prompt is, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do differently with your life? Great prompt. So I'm gonna call on Melissa to get us started. If you're available, Melissa, are you able to unmute and give us, yeah.
Hi, I'm Melissa Reeve, and I'm busy, but I'm good. And if I had all the money in the world, that's a loaded question. Definitely would reform the education system. I think a lot of things that our children learn in school for public education needs to be revised. Some of the things they don't need as adults, and the things they do need as adults, they don't get taught in school. And then, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, they don't get taught at home either. So they struggle through and fail a lot when they could be, succeeding more often. So I would definitely reform the education system.
Oh, that's juicy. Sounds like Janine had something to say about that too, because being so involved in homeschooling. And I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you, Melissa. How about you, Martina? How are you showing up today? And if you had all the money in the world, what would you do differently?
Hello, I'm Martina, and I'm showing up today, winding down for a very busy day. Glad to be here. Glad I caught it. And if I had all of the money in the world, I would seriously build Earth ships. That's like one of the things I've been super interested in. And, it's just one of those things that really interests me. And yeah, that's about, and obviously invest in communities.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you, Martina. Hopefully we can use some of your research for creating our eco village for Motherful. I know Dawn, another one of our moms, is really interested in earth ships as well, so you should definitely chat with her.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're starting to work on that housing plan, so let's get some of those ideas, because I don't know, can you do earth ships in Ohio?
I actually, we were supposed last year, I was supposed to go and do a tour, but it was one where like a husband and wife built themselves. So it's not really up to par with being fully self-sustaining. Like the ones, I don't remember, you know what? I was actually looking at this the other day. Ah, Michael Reynolds, that's his name. I love the way he does all of this stuff, and he's been building them everywhere. Just I'm not really sure about the Ohio,
Okay.
if our environment
Right.
would
Well,
go with it.
now that I know this about you, watch out. So,
Definitely.
and she's on the housing committee too. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Martina.
Uh-huh.
So I'm Heidi, and I'm showing up today pretty fired up about a couple injustices in my world, both personal and political. And so been kind of focusing on that today and trying to advocate for certain things. And if I had all the money in the world, what would I do differently? Like I said, I would be writing my books more getting started on those quicker than I've been able to with all the caregiving responsibilities. And also I would fund all the projects of Motherful and just like snap my fingers like that. And yeah, and do a lot more traveling and a lot more just work in the community to redistribute resources to people who need them. So that's what I would do. And how about you, Janine? We'll go ahead and let you get started with whatever you have to share.
Okay. Well, I brought a presentation just because I'm a very visual person. And if you talk to me and I don't have things flashing in front of my eyes, I become a little ADD. And so I have been teaching for so long that I do a lot of presentations. It's not meant to bore you. It's meant to give you a contextual situation so that you'll understand a little bit more about how you have a lot more control over money than what you may have been previously taught. And one of the beautiful things about Heidi that she and I totally are advocates for, which is empowering women, because we've been disempowered so much by not only the way cultures have done that, because I've lived in 3 different cultures, but also because of our own self-talk. Our own self-talk can be incredibly sabotaging. And so when she reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to talk to a bunch of single moms?" I'm like, "Oh, I am so there. What do you want me to talk about?" She's like, "How about money?" I'm like, "Ooh, my passion project. Be glad to chat with your people about it." So bear with me as I pull up our slides, and let's go ahead and rock and roll. I want to talk about the systems that I have used to keep me financially viable, financially independent, but yet at the same time still in that very compassionate, heart-giving space, which is how we operate. One of the things that I have as a byline for my life is I want to make millions so I can help millions. The thing is, I have learned very early on that money was a beautiful tool to be able to get what I wanted and to also be able to assist others to get what they wanted. So I am highly philanthropic. And I started off by writing $1.36 checks. And I have been loving the fact that as I got older and got better at handling money, that I was able to write larger and larger checks with more zeros behind that $1.36 check that I started off with. Okay, so my father was in the Navy. He was a Seabee. So I grew up with the can-do attitude. Okay, it was never impossible, because my father said nothing is impossible, it just takes longer. Okay, so the problematic is handled frequently and often. The impossible, that just takes a little bit longer, but eventually nothing is seen as impossible. We traveled around the world. We were in multiple countries. I got to see multiple cultures and how they handled things. And I just wanted to let you know, I ended up becoming an analytical biochemist, and I worked in the laboratory for 15 years, and I specialized in automation and robotics, not what they had in the 80s and 90s for a lot of women. So I was always seemed to be in very male-dominated situations and had to hold my own against that kind of perspective. In 1996, something totally rocked my world. I got a flu that wouldn't go away, and after 10 years of marriage, I found out, whoa and behold, I was pregnant with my very first child. Now, let me tell you something. After a decade of being married, and not due to lack of trying, I'll let you know, that motherhood thing came up and just, wow, did not expect that. I made the choice that I wanted to step out of the workforce and I wanted to be the one to be at home, the type of mom I wanted to be. And so I made that choice. That happened, and our income dropped by 54% because I was the primary breadwinner. However, when I talked to my husband at that time and said, hey, do you want to stay at home with the kids or do you want me to? He was like, oh no, I have no desire to be at home with the kids. So I said, no problem. And I did it. So with that increase, that significant drop in income, I then read 60, yes, that's 60 books because, I'm a scholar. This is what we do. Read 60 books on personal finances, and in 2005, I finally wrote the book that I wanted to read and could not find. There were a lot of things and a lot of suggestions, but nobody really had systems for somebody. When you're living on only one income, I couldn't find any book out there before 2005. There are now quite a few resources, a whole bunch of books on how to live on only one income, but at the time I did not have that. I created for my family what was called the 60-40 principle, and I've learned that people had kind of a very linear view on money that is not helpful to you. So let's talk a little bit about mindset here. Most people think, okay, I get money, it goes into the bank, I pay the bills, and if I'm lucky, I have more money than I have month. At the end of the month, I have additional money left over. So that very linear viewpoint does not help you grow your cash. It doesn't help you live that life of abundance. It just keeps you living paycheck to paycheck. So let's talk about ways that you can change your mindset so that it is a more circular view. Now, you're looking at these slides, and I know I took pictures, but this is how I used to This is how I used to teach my college kids. I was teaching them on whiteboards and stuff, and I would just run through these things. And I thought, I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to make it all fancy and pretty. This is how the process started. This is how I started teaching people about it. Okay. Money actually has a circular system. If you live on some of it, save some of it, and give some of it away, it will start a regenerative process. It is a cycle that is quite large. And at the time that I was teaching this, nobody had heard of The Secret yet. Nobody had heard of the law of attraction, even though Esther Hicks was running around doing seminars across the country. And so people would look at me with three heads. They would say, what are you talking about? It sets up a regenerative cycle. I'm like, well, it will come back to you. It will come back to you in larger amounts. So what you can do if you want, and now some of you may be cooking dinner or something like that, but if you have a piece of paper in front of you, go ahead and draw a 5-pointed star on it, because I'm going to give you the secret sauce. I don't hold anything back. I give you absolutely everything that you need to start living a life of abundance. And I've tested. I'm a scientist. I don't teach something if it's not been thoroughly tested. So what I'd like you to do is take your star, and then you're going to put 60% at the top, 10% around each one of those arms. Now what we're doing, and I did not realize it at the time that I set this up for my family, I have since personally have taught over 400 families, 415 right now, and they have all benefited from this. They've all gotten better with their systems. But this system, the 60-40 principle, operates no matter what income level you're at, no matter what is going on in your world, no matter what injustice, as Heidi likes to talk about, no matter what injustice is happening to you, this system works, okay? It's been tested by thousands, but I have personally seen it work in over 400 families. So the thing is this: the universe wants you to live an abundant life. What the 60-40 principle does is it sets up the vessel. It sets up a small structure so that when money does come to you, you know what to do with it. Many people do not know what to do with money when they receive it because they've never been given training. They know they're supposed to do certain things, but when you start operating according to the 60-40 principle, it's amazing how your debt goes down, your savings goes up, and you feel more abundant. And all of this happens at the same time because you're operating in a regenerative way. So one of the things the 60-40 principle does is it creates that structure so that when money comes to you, you disperse it in a way that it will regenerate and then come back to you and help you with that abundant lifestyle. So how does it work exactly? Well, I want you to realize you're setting up a contract with the big man in the sky, the big Santa Claus in the sky, as I like to say, the God, source, however you refer to, the divine goddess, depends on what culture you're in as to what the name is. But believe it or not, as that divine parent, do you want your children to live in an impoverished state? No. There isn't a mother on this planet that I've ever heard that says, yeah, I want my children to have it as hard as I do. You just don't have that. So what I want you to realize is that this planet is awash in money. It is a fertile, rich planet. We are the most life-giving planet of any that we have found yet, right? So there is no reason for you to be in an impoverished state other than you haven't been trained in the ways of abundance. And that's what I hope to do for you today, very, very quickly. Okay, so you got your star, you got your 60-40 principle lined out. This is the contract. The universe set up the money system in this way. You're only supposed to live on 60% of your income. Now, this is laughable to most Americans. Are you kidding me? And then if you're a single mother, it's even more laughable that you can only live on 60% of your income. And if you happen to be a single mother and happen to be in the minority in the United States of America, it's even more, right? Well, believe it or not, the universe doesn't care. It's still going to work for you. And this is how it happens. This is the ideal. We eventually want you to start wherever you are, no matter how much debt you have. The average client that I have usually has $8,500 in credit card debt alone. Then they also have medical bills, college loan, maybe a car payment, and rent. Okay, so realize we are kind of a culture that is awash in debt. Well, that's okay. That's not meant to burden you. That's just the way things are. So let's get you out of there. Let's start getting the process of building your financial house brick by brick. Don't expect this to happen overnight, but expect it to happen, and it will. So the goal, the star, is like you're reaching for the stars, right? The star is meant to be, this is the ideal, and we're going to start you where you are, and we're going to move you into this direction. 60% you live on. 10% goes into a short-term savings account that will start as your savings account at the local bank, okay? Eventually, you'll move it to a different place, but starting off at the bank. 10% goes into long-term savings. If you do not have a place that you are working that offers you a Roth IRA or a 401k plan or something like that, you'll set up a second savings account at your local bank, and that's money that you will put in that account that will be for your retirement. I highly encourage you to do that, and I'll explain why we set this up the way we do in just a moment. 10% is tithing. And for those of you who do not belong to any specific spiritual organization, don't worry, you still are going to give that 10% away. Just give it to a group that is doing good work, that is in alignment with your moral compass. And then 10% you're just going to give away, philanthropic, okay? You want more money to come into your life. Guess what? You got to give it away. You give it away, it comes back. And depending upon what scripture is your core scripture, it can come back 30, 60, 100-fold, depending upon who you listen to. All right. So what is this silly contract all about anyway? I mean, seriously, Janine, talk to me. So if we're only supposed to live on 60% of our income, the universe says, yes, I want you to live on 60%. 10% goes into that short-term savings account because that's to help you with those unexpected things that happen every single month. You walk into your new place, you're all excited, you just rented the place, and the hot water heater busts and blows out the carpet, and the next thing you know, you've got a deposit that's no longer your own. That short-term savings is to help with those unexpected expenses that are coming up in your life that you could not prevent. 10% goes into the long-term savings, and that's because you do not want to be a burden to your tribe. You do not want to be a burden to your children. After I got done raising my kids, I told folks, I said, I don't want them picking my retirement home. I want to be able to pick it out for myself. It was supposed to be a joke. Anyway, 10% long-term savings. It's when you can no longer work, you are not a burden to the cosmic tribe. You have money there taking care of you. Okay. 10% tithing, what is that all about? Well, for those of you who have a spiritual organization that you contribute to, it's rent. It's rent for your soul occupying space on planet Earth. Okay, your soul has a body, it breathes air, it drinks water, it enjoys the food of this amazing, fertile planet. And so that 10% is rent. And what happens with that, and I tell this a lot to my Christian and Jewish brothers and sisters, and that is that tithing that you're giving will assure that you will never starve, okay? Because you're paying rent. So you will always have just enough to get by. Well, I don't know about you, but my cosmic parent, my source, does not want me to just survive. My cosmic parent wants me to thrive and be in a state of abundance. And so you do that by giving that 10% thriving, that's rent, and then 10% philanthropy. What's that all about? Well, for this contract, that 10% philanthropy is taking care of an organization or taking care of a nonprofit, and you're giving money to them because they are doing something that is in alignment with your moral compass. They are doing good works. And because you cannot be everywhere all the time, you support those who are doing work that you are busy making money to help them support their work. Okay, so that philanthropy is about rejuvenating that cycle. It's what helps keep it going. Okay, so that's the contract. Well, what do you mean by contract, Janine? I mean, exactly how does this set up? Well, let's talk about this money for just a minute, and that is this. When you get ready to initiate the 60-40 principle, what you do is you get your piggy bank and you break it open, okay? And once you break it open, you divide your piggy bank up, whatever loose change you have around, coin jar, what have you. You split it up according to the 60-40 principle. And then once you hand it out and split it all up according to the way you have it set up, if you don't have two savings accounts, go set them up at your local bank and just put them in envelopes for the time being. When you're done all that, you are signaling the universe, you're saying, I am now going to be responsible about money. And the universe says, really? And you go, yep, I'm doing the 60-40 principle because this crazy woman named Janine said that this would work. And I'm taking her only on faith, so she's probably a liar, but I'm going to do this anyway. And just to show her that she's wrong. That's what I tell people. Prove me wrong, because I know it's going to work. But anyway, so they do the 60-40 principle. Within 48 to 72 hours, money will come to you from an unexpected source. When that happens, guess what you do with that unexpected money? Divide it up according to the 60-40 principle again. Anytime money comes to you that is not your paycheck, I repeat this because people get this confused all the time. Whenever money comes to you that is not your paycheck, you split it up according to the 60-40 principle. And over the course of time, you will start to see abundance coming to you. Really pay attention. A lot of people have a lot more money than they realize coming to them. And if you're one of those people that says to me, but Janine, I really don't, then I said, would you start looking for it? Stop telling me where you are and start looking for the blessings that are coming to you. Why? Because you didn't know me yesterday. You didn't know me yesterday. You know me today. So let's talk a little bit about money. There are certain attitudes and behaviors and belief systems that all of us were taught. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? You have to work harder for your money than other people. There's all of these rules that we have in our head that are inaccurate. One of the things I'd like you to learn is that there are certain behaviors that I would like you to start initiating in your own life. I have a free course that Heidi is going to give you guys a link, and there's different modules to that course. It's called the 10 Steps to Abundance. In that free course, what you do is you can walk through it and it will talk to you about how to thrive and not just survive. That's the first part. The second module is how to implement the 60-40 principle. I just kind of walked you through it real fast. And the third one is called Living on My Income. There are a bunch of PDF files that you can download and checklists on how to go about where you are now and how to start leveraging the money that you have in your life now and how to make a better use of it and move forward in that mindset. The second one is how you self-identify. How do you identify yourself in regards to money? And so we talk about in Module 4 how to make money work for you. In Module 5, I discuss more about philanthropy and how important it is to the cycle of money. And then in Module 6, I teach you all the systems that I used when my income dropped, my family's income dropped by 54%, okay, and how we went ahead and handled that. Now, if you want, I have a 2-month, let me start over. I get all excited about talking about this. I offer coaching 2 hours a month. So it's the first and it's the third Thursday of the month. I have group coaching for only $37 a month. It's the cheapest I can run it, where we walk you through the 10 Steps to Abundance course. If you can't afford that $37 a month, don't worry about it. We'll give you the link so you can take the course on your own, do it yourself for free, okay? But if you want coaching from me for Heidi and her community, you guys are single moms. I understand the stresses you're under. I'm a single mom myself. $37 a month for you. And you can unsubscribe at any time. And I make it super easy, no questions asked. It's called the Mindful Money Program. And basically it's the 60-40 principle, but there's a lot of questions that happen. And you have a lot of self-limiting beliefs when it comes to money because you were taught that money doesn't grow on trees, which is a crock. Because we have a U.S. Treasury Department and they print more every single day. Okay, so how do we get you the amount you need for your family to work through your system? And that's kind of what that group coaching is all about. Now, for the ladies that are on, I'm willing to answer any question you might have. I'm here for you as long as Heidi is willing to have her Zoom room open. So I know you have questions. How can I help you?
Hi, Janine. Thank you so much. This was some really interesting information. I was like writing a list of questions. That's how my brain is doing it. Can you kind of expand on philanthropy versus tithing? Because it sounds very, very similar.
Right. It does to a lot of people. You're not the first person to ask that. Very good question. So one of the things, Lynn, is tithing is about a concept of the soul and it hanging out in three-dimensional space-time on Mother Earth. Okay? So tithing is all about making sure that the body has what it needs to survive. Philanthropy is the part that helps you thrive because you're reaching outside of yourself and you are supporting an organization that is doing good work. You are helping those less fortunate than yourself, such as, I'm going to make a few assumptions about me. You do not have to answer me if you do not want to, but Lynn, I'm making the assumption you know how to read.
I do.
There are millions of people on this planet that do not know how to read their own language. Okay, so you know how to read. So if this is, I'm an author, so I love being able to support organizations that help people learn to read. Okay, now you have your heart, your passion in probably a very different area. You're an individual. So whatever you're passionate about, that's what you give your money to. Find a nonprofit organization that you are like, man, they are kicking butt and taking names and they are making this happen. And then you go support them with your $1.36 a week until you can make it $13.60 a week, until you can make it $136 a week, because you'll eventually, your abundance will grow. And what I want for every woman is to become a millionaire. Why? So that you can support organizations. So you start supporting people through money, not your service. We women have a tendency to devalue ourselves. We'll give our time, but we won't give our money because that's part of our security, okay? Because we want to stay secure feeling. But one of the things I keep saying to the universe is bring them more money so I can give it to all these organizations because I do not have enough time to do all these things. I'm a single mother. I got 4 kids. I got 3 of them in college. One's in high school. I'm all over the place with things. I don't have time. Yet there are these amazing people who have these nonprofit organizations that I want to support. So show me the money. Cough it up, right? And the universe usually listens to me for a while, rant and rave, and eventually I get my way because, I'm kind of stubborn, a little tenacious. Anyway, didn't mean to go on and on about that, but do you have any other questions, Lynn?
I do, but I don't know if someone else does.
Okay,
I
that's
didn't
that
know.
beautiful courtesy, those big hearts you mothers have. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a question before we go back to Lynn?
So, well, just about that one, just to kind of circle back to her question, which, like, I mean, for example, if I don't have like a spiritual organization that I feel I want to give to, because it sounds like tithing is really about something spiritual or something like religious.
Correct.
So, I mean,
You would just give 20% of your money away. See, the point is
okay,
you're going to
okay,
give 20% of your money
just give
away.
20%
I
of it.
don't care if you belong to
Got
a
it. Okay.
church, a synagogue,
I mean, probably mine will just go to Motherful, honestly. So, that's easy. And probably another org, but yeah.
yeah. So each person knows what is in their what is passionate for them, and you
Gotcha.
reach out to that. Yeah.
So it doesn't
So
necessarily have to be like church and org. It could be like just orgs, philanthropy, period.
it can just
Okay.
be philanthropy. You're basically giving money away. I used to call, when you see people panhandling in the street, I would call them angels on the street corner, because sometimes I would just have $5 and I would get a prompting, or I would get an inspirational moment where I would hear, you need to give that guy $5. And I would go give him $5. I drive home, and my contract that I had been waiting for 6 months on, I thought had gone down the toilet. I get a check for $28,000 to, move forward with my business. Right. So those are the type of things that happened all the time for me. So philanthropy to me is very much the core of, like I said, I want to make millions so I can help millions. Yeah. I wish I was the one that had said that. I actually had a woman say that to me. Her name's Barbara Stanny, and I promote her books all the time. She recently got married, and I can't remember what her married name is now. She changed her name, but she wrote the book Prince Charming Isn't Coming, and she also wrote a book called Overcoming Under Earning, and she talks about the emotional barriers we put up to earning more money as women. She's brilliant. So you don't have to listen to me, but definitely go out and buy her books.
Looks like Martina might have a question.
I do have a question. What do you suggest for the mothers whose living expenses are more than 60% of their income?
Yeah. Don't worry about that yet. What we want to do for you is drop your debt, increase your savings, keep living at whatever level it is. Just make sure it's not 110% of your income.
Yeah.
Right. But don't worry about that, because what ends up happening is, as you keep doing the 60-40 principle on that unexpected money, is you eventually will see your income starting to rise from the most bizarre events that start coming into your world, that are opportunities that you would not have noticed before, but because you are focused in on increasing your income through hardship ways, meaning you're allowing blessings to come to you. Believe it or not, blessings come all the time. We just don't recognize them because we're too busy living in that sacrifice mentality of, the only way to make more money, the only way I can get more money is to make more money. I have to work harder. That we prevent the divine from bringing us checks. So I normally, I don't say this in my bigger groups, but this is a wonderful community. When I allowed the universe to be novel and surprise me with ways checks would come into the mail, I had my insurance company. I had surgery. I was given this, you have 6 months to live kind of thing. That was a panic. They misdiagnosed me. But that was a panic. Okay, I'm trying to figure out, where my kids are going to go, who's going to get my house. It was a nightmare. When that occurred, though, I had allowed the universe to surprise me in neat and novel ways with money. So my surgery cost me $35,000 that I was going to have to pay because, I'm a single mom, I'm self-employed. Obamacare looks at me and goes, yeah, like, we're going to give you money, right? It's like, I didn't have any of that going for me. All right. And I'm sitting here going, I have no idea how I'm going to pay this. Maybe I can pay $90 a month for the rest of my life. That's kind of where I was. And a check arrived in the mail from my insurance company for $28,000. And I called my insurance guy and I said, how did this happen? He goes, I don't know, but it did. And I don't say that to rouse any jealousy or anger in anybody. I just want to let you know that when you give yourself permission and you demand from the universe, show me neat, cool, awesome, novel ways for money to come to me that I don't have to earn. Because we're so educated, we're so trained that in order for more money to come, it means I have to work harder. We're so trained in that mindset that we will actually prevent opportunities from being seen where the universe is trying to gift us money. And most women know that in their core, but they have there's that barrier, there's that resistance to that. So really examine that about yourself. And I had to do some pretty intense introspection where I sat in meditation and I'd go, why do I believe what man has told me over what I know in my intuition is truth? And I had to do some pretty hardcore thinking, and I realized I was allowing good quality men, but men to dictate to me something that was totally opposite the way my cosmic parent would treat me. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Like, I'm literally not playing. I'm like working 3 jobs right now while we're on the phone. So it's like hard for me to even take the time to sit back and think like, oh, what would I allow the universe to do? So what is your suggestion on how do you make that time when you are doing that, hard work right now?
Right. Where I am, Janine, prevents me from going into the future. I understand. Number one, the only way I got through college was by working 3 jobs at once, and I didn't have children yet. So to listen to a mother say to me, okay, I have kids and I'm working 3 jobs. All right. First of all, as I say to myself all the time, so this is going to be the pot talking to the kettle, Melissa. Everything I share with you is because I've had to do it for myself, okay? First of all, Janine, take a deep breath. And how do you change that mindset? The first one is, do you believe you're a child of the divine? Yes, I do. I believe I'm a child of the divine. Do you believe that your cosmic parent would let you stay in this place of suffering and hard work and calamity in total chaos all the time? Or am I not seeing something? Well, Janine, I'm not seeing something, obviously, because where I am right now totally and completely sucks. This is how Janine talks to the divine. So I turn to the cosmic parent and I say, look, I am where I am right now, and I would like opportunities to have more money coming to me and working less. Actually, my goal is to work 20 hours a week for the money that comes in, and the rest of the time I can do other work. What is that other work? I have no idea, because right now I don't even have freaking mental space to remind myself to breathe because it's so engaged, because things are so engaging. And listen to the answers that pop up in your head. If they're uplifting answers, such as it's coming, or just keep your eyes open, we're on our way, or help us on the way, your intuition says that to you and you hear it. Listen to that and pay attention to that. If the answers that you receive are, what makes you so special? Why do you think you should have that? Understand that that is messaging that's deep in your subconscious that no longer serves you. Because don't tell me that any cosmic parent would ever say that to you, because you're a child of the divine. And the divine thinks you're so cool that he, she, the divine, allows you free will to live life your own damn way. And if you are not happy with where you are, it's time to make some changes and ask for the help to change your mindset. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of platitudes, but that's really how I have walked myself out of some pretty heavy depressed states. So like when you're told you have 6 months to live, you have an ex that's gone crazy and has threatened you at gunpoint, you know your children aren't safe with your own family because that's why you live so far away from them, is because they're toxic. And you've got 6 months to figure out a plan so that your kids will be in a safe place when you die. So I was in a pretty tough place in that. And what was amazing to me was how money showed up, people showed up, and opportunities to work from home showed up. So I know right now it sucks, but I also know that you do the 60-40 with whatever money comes to you, and you just do your best and keep saying to the universe, I know that I'm a child of the divine, and I know you're not going to leave me in this place, and I know people and opportunities are coming. Help me see the people and the opportunities where I can work less and make more money. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. There are times our lives really suck. They just do. And the last thing that I want you to think you need to do is, girden your loins and just work harder and that's going to fix it, because that's not. That's us trying to do it ourselves instead of calling in the divine to help make our lives easier, because no cosmic parent would ever want us to have to struggle and stress and go through that.
So, I had another question. The phrase you're using a phrase that says, "Anytime money comes to me that is not my paycheck, that's when we split it for the 60-40." And I think, is that until we are um, able to do our entire like monthly income for the 60-40?
Correct.
How I'm hearing it is maybe, oh, okay, so it's two
Correct.
separate things.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
once you get there, what's funny is you'll watch your expenses drop and your income will continue to go up. And there was a point that I was living on only 33% of my income because I had so much income, and I kept working on, I am just crystal clear on what I want out of life. And guess what? I don't want a lot. But the universe, since it knows I'm very responsible with money, it just keeps throwing money at me. I have people walking up and handing me checks for hundreds and hundreds of dollars just because they know that by doing that, these are usually tribal people, they'll hand me that money because they know they're going to get a blessing 100-fold by doing that with me, because they know the law of reciprocity. So I'm not saying you're that person, but I want you to know that when you get to that 60%, it doesn't stop there. It keeps going. Your expenses go down because you're not having to live so close to the bone, and you're able to live in a state of abundance. But people think that more money will make them corrupt. And I'm like, absolutely not. More money makes you able to be more generous. You're not going to stop being generous just because you have more money, or at least that hasn't happened to me. And I know the women that are a part of Motherful, they're not like that. They're going to change the world. They're going to do good works and be very generous with their resources. Hope that helps.
It was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wrote that down with a big question mark because I was kind of mending the two together in
Correct.
my head. And my follow-up question to that would be about like a budget program, like the times that I've sat down and kind of looked at what's coming in, what's going out, what can I shift and move. Do you have a specific sort of budget program that you suggest, or is that in some of the PDFs that we'll have access to?
I'm going to let you know, I hate budgets.
Same.
To me, a
Same.
budget is like somebody standing there shaking their finger at me. Now, like I said, I've coached hundreds of families and I have spoken to thousands of people. I have had in all that time 2 people over the course of the last 25 years that I've been doing this that have told me, I love budgets. Now, for those 2 very unique individuals, I say, rock on. But but a budget to me is horrific. It's like I feel confined. I feel like I'm not free. I feel like I'm enslaved. And I can't be that way. And so I bust out a budget. What I encourage, and what you'll get in the 10 steps to abundance, is that you track your expenses. Every time you spend money, you track it. Now, it can be something simple like an Excel spreadsheet. I mean, I had one woman that ran around and she had a bunch of receipts and she'd stuff them in an envelope. And then once a week, she would just put down how much she was spending. She was just going through that. And what I have found with the people who do that approach, you self-correct. You stop impulse buying because you now have a goal. You now have a structure. You want to save up money so that you have a Roth IRA, so that you're not a burden to your tribe. You want to save up money so that you can give your kids more than what you had, not now, today, but eventually. Like eventually they're going to want a car, and eventually they're going to want certain other things, and it would be really cool to go and pay cash for it, right? That was my goal. I wanted to pay for a car cash. That was my very first goal. Okay. And that happened 5 years ago. Okay. But it took me time to get to that point as a single mom where I could do that. But that's the thing. We're in this for the long game. We're not in it for the short term. We are running a marathon when it comes to money. We are not running a sprint. So if you're a sprinter, I always tell other people, you need a different teacher. I'm here to coach marathoners because we're going to end up with millions, and we're going to be able to help millions of people. Okay. And so that's what I would recommend. Track your expenses. Every time you spend money, write it down. Or I think they even have, there's an app for everything these days. Mint.com is a great place to go. It's highly secure. It's what a lot of the financial planners use. It's an app that you can put on your phone that will track every dime that you're spending. They often talk about budgets, but that's for people who have a steady paycheck. And when you're working 3 jobs, you don't have a steady paycheck, right? That's for people that are on, budgets are for people who are on salaries. Most of us are hourly, thank you very much, and we just pray we don't get sick because we're, that means downtime. So you not only have medical bills at that point, but you also have a drop in income. So yeah. So just track your expenses. You do that for 90 days and you will watch your expenses drop like a rock. You'll watch your income go up. There's a lot of money that you spend because you're trying to get relief from your financial situation. You have relief. You've got a structure now. You have a plan. It's a small plan, but you're working your plan. And as soon as you have that, it's amazing how you don't need as much relief anymore.
So I have a question about, let's say we share finances, right, with someone, like it could be any kind of relative, or maybe we're in a partnership and we share certain financial responsibilities, right? So, and like we can't get on the same page with our partner, or should we just do this on our own, like 60-40 thing on our own, regardless of what they're up to? I mean, is it still going to work for us?
Every woman has to decide how she wants to do this, okay? But please realize money is raw power. The only power more raw than money is sex. And we know how well we all handle that. Some of us handle it really well. Others still figuring that one out. When you take control of your finances, and if you are in a partnership of some kind, realize that a lot of emotional stuff is going to pop because of the need of control. And it's different if you're in a partnership where it's a man and a woman, because I work a lot with diverse groups of people. I'm going to give some stereotypes here just for sake of education. For the men, money is power, being able to exert control. For women, it's security, the ability to stay safe. These are two very conflicting emotions. Does it sound similar to sex? Because it's about the same. Like, men want to feel better. Let me have sex with you so I can feel better. Women are like, oh, we are talking this out. And until I feel better, we're not having sex. Right? Two very divergent experiences. Okay.
I feel attacked. So attacked right now.
When you walk into intentional space, when you walk into a space that you want to have a dialogue, be very aware of these situations that are at the core of our being, right? So when it comes to partnerships, I used to say, unless you're, when somebody would come to me and say, well, I'm married, my partner doesn't have the same philosophy I do about money. And I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. How's your sex life? It sucked because it's hand in hand. It's very similar. It's amazing what happens to the sex life once you start dealing with your money issues and vice versa. So just want to share with you, how do you go about doing that? Well, this is where we come up to that cosmic parent again, because free will. We were given free will. If your partner is not in alignment with you, start changing the way you handle the money, okay? Because you need to get control over your personal finances. And as women, we frequently want to keep peace in the house. And I'm guilty of this. I was married to my husband for 30 years, okay? And when it came to money, that was the one thing we agreed upon. We were very much in alignment. So our relationship went through all kinds of craziness. But you know what? When it came to the education of the children and the money, we were in alignment. So we were able to stick it out for a long time with all the other stuff that was he and I's issues. To answer your question more specifically, though, I usually would say to people, I will have your spouse or your partner come to the thing for free, to come to the seminar for free, because you've got to get on the same page. Now, the how is where people usually get into arguments. Well, how are we going to do this, right? That's where the arguments start, because men want control, women want security. Two very different things, okay? So the answer is figure it out. But if you share expenses, then you're okay, because a lot of couples nowadays especially have his account, or her account, however your partnership is, his account, her account, ours. So mine, ours, right? If that is your partnership, where you have three separate ways of dealing with money, you can do this totally on your own and it will not affect your partner and their process. However, if you were like me, because you were taught from knee-high to a grasshopper, when you got married, you pooled your resources and it was all one, that's tricky. So I would recommend, if you are in that kind of partnership where you're pooling everything, that you start talking about mine, yours, ours. And that will work. And it will also bring up a lot of stuff. So I hope that was helpful.
Let's see. Any other questions, mamas? Melissa, do you have any more? Just if you have more, Lynn and Martina, go ahead. We still, as long as we have Janine's attention, we're gonna squeeze it all out. Squeeze it all
Right?
out.
I have 15 more minutes before I have to move on to my next
Perfect.
event. Yep.
Perfect.
So we got 15 minutes, ladies. Well, if there aren't any more questions, then I'll do a wrap up. Realize that if there is something that you would do, like when I gave you, and Heidi was a sweetheart, she goes, what do you want to do for a prompt on this? And I said, well, if you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing? Okay. When you have that desire, like you want to write a book, or you want to give more to charity, or, there's an injustice that you want to fund, what have you. The answer is you have the resources right now to start doing that. And the universe wants to see if you're serious. So, Heidi, start writing now. And the money will come from Motherful and the other objects that you want to put your money toward. But you must take that first step. You must start in the direction, play pretending as if you have all the money in the world to make it happen. Now, this does not mean that you go into debt. Okay? No. We don't go into debt for this. What I'm saying is you have to make the action plan. So you have the resources to start the journey toward whatever your desire is. And you can do it for free. You just have to nibble away at it. So, like I said, we're marathoners. Does that mean that today I decided I'm going to run a marathon? I don't go out and run 26 miles or 27.5 or whatever the marathon is. What you do is you say, okay, let me set up a plan because I need to change my diet because I'm about 20 pounds over what I need to be right now to run a marathon, right? You start by setting up your plan. Set up your 60-40. Okay, so the next thing is if you don't have a savings account at your local bank, go ahead and set one up or set two up if you don't have an IRA, because a lot of you are working in jobs that don't offer 401k plans and stuff like that. So set up that second checking account so you can start dividing up your money according to the 60-40 principle, okay? Once your savings account for your Roth IRA or your retirement account gets to $2,500, and I know right now that's like, oh my God, I would never have that much in a savings account. It will get there faster than you can believe right now, and that's okay. But when you hit that $2,500, then open your Roth IRA, and I will be glad to help walk you through that. Okay, so that's your first goal. The first goal is set up the structure for the 60-40, and then just implement the 60-40, okay? And while you're waiting on money to show up, declutter your house. It's a fascinating thing when you start decluttering your house, when you start tracking your expenses, and when you open up that second savings account, how the universe will start to shift and turn and show you what you really desire. And you start opening up to the opportunities of living the life you want as opposed to the one that's been dictated to you for your whole life.
I had one question because I've been self-employed for so long, and a Roth IRA is something that I'm seriously interested in. So you're saying to wait until you have 2,500 saved up and then start it?
Yes, this gives you an opportunity to become a habitual saver. The
Okay, 'cause
minimum.
I've heard I think it's like 5,000 or 6,000 a year that you could put in there without being taxed or whatever. So
Yes.
I thought that was the goal. So
Um,
reality is,
Okay, you are correct. We're speaking about different things. I'm talking about
oh,
opening the account, right? To open it, you
just to
need at least.
open. Gotcha. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And you do want to talk to a CPA. So what you do is you max out your Roth, okay? And then what ends up happening is you start making too much money. It may take 3 to 5 years. It took me 5 years. In 5 years, I was making too much money as a self-employed person to be able to contribute to my Roth.
Wow.
I did not know there was a cap. There is. So I made too much money. So I'm scrambling around trying to figure out, oh my God, where do I save? I'm such a habitual saver. It was like, I got to find a vehicle to save in. And so then a CPA will do that. So you're always learning. You're always learning. There's always another level to learn. So you start with 2,500, you open up your account, and then you put in the maximal allowable amount by law. Okay? I am now over the age of 55, so I get catch up. I get, so I'm at 6,500, I think, for that. And also self-employed, I hope you have an HSA, a health savings account, because you can contribute pre-tax dollars to that and lower your income with that too.
That's called an HSA?
Yeah, health savings account. And go to hsa.com and you can open something like that up. And that it's only for health expenses. So like you go to Walgreens for your prescription or something like that, you can.
This is outside of, because I purchased my healthcare through the marketplace. That's outside of that. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. you've met the limits of my education. I do not know. You need to find a professional to help you with that, because I don't
Okay.
want to get anybody into tax trouble.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, I forgot to say, I am not a financially licensed individual. Forgot to do all my preface stuff. I'm not a CPA. I'm a scientist that got lucky. Got the 60/40 principle. So please go to your CPA or your financial planner for such advice. They're licensed. Yeah. Any other questions?
My last question I put in the chat is, does this work for a company or an organization as well? Because
I've had many people do that, and there's many reasons why, as a company, you don't really want to have a savings account. You want to make sure that your money is either going to you as a paycheck. So what I say, okay, you've been self-employed. What's your paycheck that you give yourself each month? And you'll see self-employed people go, all the money goes back into the business. I'm like, you need to start using a paycheck and then 60/40 your paycheck from your business.
okay, got it.
Yeah. So.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Janine. This was really fun and enlightening, and I got a ton of notes, and it sounds like everybody got a lot out of it that was here, and I know that our moms are going to benefit by the playback, and so excited about the offer to take your course, and we so appreciate you and your time, and I just want to say thanks so much. Like, I'm so glad we made this happen. I know that it was a great time for me, so.
I'm glad I was able to help. And when Heidi and I will work out a way for you guys to get 2 links. The first link will be the free one. If you don't do anything else, go to the free course. I built it with people like you in mind. Big, caring, lovely people who need education. And as soon as you get the education, boom, you'll start having the success with your finances. The second link will be the $37 a month program, but it's literally the course, the same course. It's just you're getting 2 hours of coaching, because I cost $475 for every 45 minutes that you hire me. Okay, and so this is my give back is $37 a month. You get 2 hours of coaching, which is about $950 normally. Okay, so that's what I can do for your community if you will let me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Janine.
You bet.
Thanks everybody for coming on, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much.
Good night. Thank you, Janine.
Yeah.
Good night.